Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio. Discover your spiritual gifts live.
Welcome to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts Live radio show. I am Violet Rain, and with me I have our other host,
Jason Antelek.
And Dave is on vacation enjoying Las Vegas. We do miss him, but we hope that he has a great time there. Today, our guest is JoAnne Palladino, and we invited her to come and talk about a little bit about who she is, some of the things that she offers, and what she would love to share with us today. So welcome, JoAnne. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Lovely to be here. Actually, lovely to see you.
On the radio show.
On the radio show.
It's perfect.
And it's a comedy show, too.
Yes.
It is a comedy show.
We didn't realize that.
We do a
spiritual comedy show. You gotta have humor to get through it, right?
You really do. And you know, you were with us at one time. You kind of worked out of the center and did one of your gatherings here. Tell us a little bit about your journey, where you came from, what brought you into this world, and kind of what you do today.
Yeah. Well, the journey was unexpected. It really started midlife. I could always say, I was born in Brooklyn. I'm a Brooklyn Italian girl. But, and it was in the late 90s, actually, when I'll say my first awakening happened. I was in the corporate world, climbing the ladder. That was my focus of success, dollar signs and my paycheck, all of that, sort of proving that I'm good enough and smart enough and all of those wonderful things. And I was quite successful in that field. And then in 97, which feels like a lifetime ago, the last century, that's when the universe really pulled the rug from underneath my feet, if you will. And in that journey is when my spiritual gifts came to surface. So it was I would say, complete breakdown where I had to stop working. I couldn't eat, think, sleep, be with anyone. So it was sort of stripping away of who I thought I was, to allow what was underneath and allow me to extend and express my gifts. So that was a while ago, and I've had the wonderful fortune of a few awakenings, and each time I go into the descent, as I arise, as I ascend, gifts started to show themselves. So though I'm trained in many things, it's really what comes through naturally. It's really been divinely guided. And now here I am today with you guys, so.
I love that. I think we have found, or at least I've found on the journey, that a lot of us, there's something that happens that shakes us off our track. Yeah. And redirects us in a different direction. It's almost like, we talk about the dark night of the soul, but it really is some of that, because everything falls away and you're like, okay, now what? Where do I go from here? Like, what is this about?
Yeah. It was the word that's showing up is like a shattering. It's a breaking through or opening up the heart, because for a period of time there was a sense of bliss, if you will, that I felt like I had the sun in my chest. Like I was just like, whoa, it's just, everything is so beautiful, and I truly felt this radiating energy in the heart center, and it lasted for quite a few months, and in that, because I then chose to leave the corporate office because the soul was no longer resonating, and it probably didn't anyway at the time, but I used to go into meetings and leave the meetings and go, what did they just say? I don't even know what they just said. Like, nothing was sticking. It wasn't important. And I consciously chose to leave the 6-figure job. Like, what? And what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. But it was the soul's really guiding my choices. It wasn't the ego, because if it was the ego, there would be a lot more chatter there, and probably I would have stayed of like what's really important, but it didn't matter, any longer. So the awakenings, we're hearing it more and more, the miracles more and more. I mean, that was like, again, I'm saying 97. Now what I'm finding, people are going through it a lot quicker. Like it's speeding up. Back then, for me, it took a couple of years to actually settle in, and I was in the marketing sales field, and I was helping holistic practitioners, and then it was like, oh, I think I am one, and that, it took a period of time, but now what I'm finding in people, the quickening for like a realization for people is showing up also out of nowhere. That's happening, and there's like the word I used was a quickening. That's what I'm feeling. It's just beginning to happen, and the realization or the embodiment is happening quicker also.
So everything's expedited. Everything's kind of on a fast track these days.
Yeah,
and I hear that story a lot with other practitioners and people that I work with that they had a corporate space, and I'm one of those people. I was in a corporate space and experienced a motor vehicle collision that knocked me in a different direction, quite literally. And that same progression that you're talking about is so common that the stories now that come out, but when you're going through it, there was especially in the late 90s, there's nobody to talk to about that.
Yeah.
There's no place to go, so it takes a lot longer. There's not the same type of support or, people to ask questions or, YouTube as a resource or any of those things.
It was funny back then in the corporate world. So yoga was my first spiritual practice, so I feel very connected to yoga. And at the time, people were laughing at me like, "What? Oh, you're going to your yoga class?" Or even organic food was foreign to me. I was still doing the drive-through, fast food, got to go to the next meeting kind of mentality. So the shift is like necessary, like there's or essential. Is really essential. So.
A piece that you talked about that I'd like to ask a couple questions about is that you've had multiple awakenings.
Yeah.
So over that period, do you kind of know when it's coming now? Is there are there signs? Are there signals? Is there anything that kind of alerts you, or do you just go, "Oh, I'm right in the middle of it again"?
Right.
What does that?
Yeah.
Feel
Well,
like?
I usually get a call from the universe.
That's handy.
They dial me up and go, "Hello, here it comes." I have to say there are subtle signs. I'm for me it's very physical. I feel a lot in the physical body. And there, I'm like, "Oh, something's up, something's going on." And then it's usually wham. Then I get hit. And when I say I get hit, it really first of all, I have to withdraw. I can't be with people or a lot of activity. So it's a true inward journey for me. I have to be in solitude and quiet. And lots of downloads show up, a lot of physical manifestations where I feel there's a deep releasing or cleansing of conscious, unconscious, and subconscious beliefs. Now, is my intellect understanding this? Absolutely not. Like the ego is going into a tailspin, and I guess more in tune to the spiritual path you don't allow the tailspin to get you there. It's allowing you to be more in the moment, right. Which it's like, okay, now's the time to really practice. We truly practice what we preach and what we teach. So it usually hits me hard, and it usually lasts a couple of years for me. And I have to be really cautious on my activity because of the sensitivity that I feel, and how it affects me. It's like that light right now, it's like going, oh my goodness, it's like flickering, and I'm, it's like I'm sensitive to that kind of motion or sound. So it usually comes in quiet, and then I get it.
Right.
And then I get it. And the beauty, like it's, what I'm finding more and more is when I go through it, it's like, what is the blessing in this? What is the teaching in this? So there's a lot more self-inquiry as I'm going through it, which helps with the ease and grace of going through it. Because it's not being able to necessarily skip steps.
Right, there's no spiritual bypass.
It's like, how can I get from A to D, without going through the others? And you really can't. And there's a reason and a purpose. Again, the intellect doesn't know or understand what is truly going on a divine level, sort of the divinity of the journey. So a lot of it is trust and surrender and allowance, because the resistance, it's like when I'm just saying that word, it's like driving the car with the brakes on, and you know how difficult that is. So the more I have found for myself and that I teach others is to allow the process, trust the process, so you sort of work your way through it with more ease, more gentleness. Not that you're going to not get bumped, but it's not going to hurt as
right.
much. The bumps aren't as big,
That's that's a powerful point, because a lot of people that are starting on their spiritual journey, and those of us who have had some experience at whatever level, that we don't have all the answers.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Any more than anybody else does.
Oh my goodness.
We have a little bit of experience, and we've gone through some shifts and changes, and they're just, a lot of the time the answer is, well, you're human, right? That's part of it. Yeah, you got to feed your body, but if you feed it junk food, that's what you're going to get out is junk energy, right? And that discipline and that understanding, and it's really coming to it yourself. There's not there's no one way to do it. There's no guru that is for everybody.
Yeah.
And the spiritual journey is always internal.
Yeah.
And it has to start within. It doesn't start out here.
It is not. It's like we say we're seekers. Well, we're looking outside, and it's not going to happen outside. So the seeking, when somebody says, "Oh, I'm a seeker," the guidance I give them is to seek within. It's to really commune with, I'll say, the divinity within all of us, And a piece that I have been finding key through the years is being more and more comfortable with the unknown. If you're at peace with not knowing, that also helps the journey. Because the intellect tends to keep the brakes on, because we need to know why, how long, and all of the questions that come with what one is experiencing. And the questioning keeps you away from a realization. It's like a distraction in some sense, if that makes sense of what I'm sharing here. So I always joke and go, I don't know anything. It's like, I don't know, but this is what I could share with you from personal experience of what I embodied. Because there's a difference for me with the intellectual knowing versus the embodiment of knowing. It means it's taken hold when you embody it.
Well, the mind is a tool, just like the ego.
Yeah.
The soul is actually where all the power and where all the strength and the divinity, that's where it resides. And that soul is in a different place than the intellect, than how we pick up on that. And it is very distracting. The ego itself is distracting, and that's its own, like, let me deal with being able to commune with my ego and talk to it and tell it it's going to be okay, and then give it a break or give it something to do. Yeah. And then your intellect is still in the way, asking all these questions because you want to know the answer. And then spiritually, it's like you said, it's a distraction. So what you're saying is there's some discipline in letting go of all the questioning, right? And that one of the common threads for your progression in all of your awakening experiences is being comfortable not having answers to all your questions.
Not needing to know. So the piece that I teach and practice personally that has been a big shift in my life, that I become more of an observer of my life, and which I call it the pause, which gives me an opportunity to step away and be in a space with compassion and wisdom and observing it all and not judging it, not saying this should be here and that shouldn't be here, but seeing where the gems are in the observation and choosing from a place of a higher level of consciousness, because we could have the awareness, which, that's the start, that's the gem, starting with awareness. But then what do you do with that awareness? And that's where conscious choice begins to take hold and truly begins to shift your life. So when I'm in turmoil, hey, I still get triggered, but I catch myself a lot quicker. What I'm doing, the practice is I do take that pause. I step back. I allow myself to breathe so I'm fully in the body, in the moment, and start having inner dialogue with myself of how I would proceed, or should I not proceed, or how I want to communicate, or what do I want to communicate, or just let it sit for a little bit, like in the way of mastery. The practice is I need do nothing, not means sitting on the couch and eating bonbons of not doing nothing, but letting it just sit in and see where it resides in your body and what spiritual guidance you receive when you're in that pause, when the gem, because that's where the gems are. So that's how I navigate now in my life. It's not like an immediate or a habitual pattern of how I respond, not 100% of the time, but I'm able to catch myself a lot quicker. It's becoming like a comfortable way of living my life or engaging my life, and life to me is my spiritual practice. It's not I don't have it's not like, oh, I have a personal life and I have a business life. No, my life is my spiritual practice. Right. So it's not I unplug in my spiritual practice and then I plug into my personal life. It's one of the same.
I think that's one of the major differences coming from the corporate background is repatterning that, because in the corporate world you very much have a business and a personal, and you strive to keep them separate.
Yes.
And bringing them together can actually create more issues.
Yes.
But when we get on the other side of that, where we are now, and we can, like you said, embody, that makes a huge difference. When I made that shift in my business and realized that it's actually who I am, right? That's what I'm representing. Is what is my mission? What is what are my goals for myself? They're the same thing, right? And that's the freedom of being in a spiritual space and being comfortable with where you are and who you are, and not thinking, I got to get up the ladder. I have to get that new promotion. I have to run this meeting, or whatever the corporate world brings to you. And Violet, you've experienced the same thing. You've made you even had kind of the double life for a period of time too. What was that experience like for you, keeping those separate?
Well, being a human resource executive in a Fortune 500 company, you can't go in and say, I'm going to meditate today. That doesn't work that way. You have to be really careful in what you say and what you do and how you support and do that. So, I had oils on my desk, essential oils, and people would come in and they thought that was interesting to smell them. They had no idea the whole context of what I was doing, right? Sure. And my office, because I always set sacred space in my office energetically, and people would come in and go, oh, what do you do different? And then they would move me around, right? Because your office, I always got moved. HR always got moved from one area to the other. So they'd go, oh, we're going to move you, and the office won't feel the same. And I would just smile, and they would move me, and we would go in, and I would set the space again, and I would literally get pre-requests to paint the walls because I put symbols and stuff behind it on a Saturday when nobody was there, and set the whole room, and people would be like, how do you do that? Why is it no matter where we put you, the room has this feeling to it?
The word that's coming up is like this sweetness, like really provided a sweetness to this kind of world.
This whole chaos, right? And so I did that for 10 years. I mean, that's a real hidden piece of being a college professor and a vice president, and sitting in a corporate window office and keeping my personal life very separated from what was happening in the world. It's a hard thing to do, right? But I did that because I knew it would never be accepted. It wouldn't be accepted today. When I stepped out of doing that job, I know I can never go back.
No.
First of all, I couldn't survive personally.
Yes.
But a company is not going to hire me when they do do any kind of search on me. They're not going to put, with my gifts now knowing, they're not going to put me in that role. So, just very, very different in how you separate and how you want to help people, and you can't come out and go, if you come to me, I can help you look to the side. You just can't do that. You have to keep it very separate. It's a very separate world of seeing. So it's nice to be in this world. But I also understand people's fears, because as you can relate to, all of us can relate to, there's a lot of fear stepping out of what you've been raised to believe, that if you work hard and you set really powerful goals and you climb that corporate ladder and you're making six figures and you have a home. I mean, I had a home, 2 cars, I vacationed. I did everything. I was a single woman with everything. And when I stepped out, right, the material things don't mean as much, but you don't know that when you're sitting in that space.
Well, they're gauges. They're gauges for what you've accomplished. Where you're sitting and what you're doing every day is different now, but your gauges are different now. Like, I helped somebody today. I really connected with someone and helped them help themselves. Like, that makes for a full day for me now. Or before, I was more apt to create damage than I was to create something positive. The shift and the awareness, like you said, that's where it all starts, right? Is that awareness?
That's like the beginning to, like, you put the key in the door and go.
And then the building starts up.
Yeah. And then we take off to space and okay.
Be ready for
where did
put
we
the
go
key
just then? But that's the fear that you were speaking of. That's the fear of the unknown. That's the fear of losing one's identity. It's the fear of what am I supposed to do and who am I now if I don't have that corporate label or whatever. I mean, we're picking on corporate. It's like whatever you're in.
Well, in your identity, happens. It also happens in relationships. One awakens and one doesn't. And that person completely changes who they are. And they're standing in front of this individual that they married or came together with 10 or 20 years, and they're finding out who they are in a divine way, and they're different. Things look different, they taste different, they feel different, everything's different, right? So yes, corporate is one thing, but it happens in a lot of different ways that are that people are dealing with when they go through that process.
Well, part of the journey, and it's challenging for people, I personally went through it, is how the relationships do change. And it can be with a spouse, it can be with siblings, it can be with friends for years, children, and it rips at your heart. There's a heart tearing in a way, but it's not that you love them any less, but you realize that it's no longer feeding or serving you how it used to. So this is again where the soul comes in. I feel that it's the soul's calling that is leading you towards that, or ending a relationship, or shifting the dynamic of the relationship. Not that they're necessarily out of your life completely, but the dynamic is different. You might not see them as often or call them for advice or whatever it might be. So the fear factor, in a way, it is all about the unknown. Not knowing this is who I was and what am I going to be next, And that's where the present moment is a gem. If you could fully live and be at peace with what is currently here, even if it's very bumpy, I call it the waves, I get hit with the waves. They could be nice and, smooth, and then there could be a tsunami that comes in. But the more I'm in the moment, in the present, trusting what's going on, even though there isn't an intellectual understanding, the knowing of that level, that you're able to ride it a lot easier. And it's nice on the body, it's easier on the spirit, and the tide begins to rise in its own way, the spiritual path.
And you go up with it.
Yeah.
You move up with it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you ride it back down, and you ride it back up
and
again.
up, yeah.
It's
fluidity. I call it like fluid. I can't be in a box anymore.
Again.
Yeah.
Just because you get spiritually awakened doesn't mean you don't have ebb and flow. It is the nature. Change is the only constant.
Yeah. Well,
change is going to happen. Yeah.
Last night there was a Shamaya gathering, and one of the questions, something is like, "Oh, people aren't awake," and I was like, we're not fully awake here either yet, because if we still have any self-criticism going on, or outside judgment, or we're still being triggered, we're on the path. It's when, like Eckhart Tolle, I love one of the things, somebody asked him in one of his talks, and they said, well, what do you do? What's your spiritual practice? And his response was non-thinking, which actually made me cry, because my soul heard the truth in that. He is completely guided by divine. The ego's still there. He's still in the human form, but it's not running the show, or he's not being informed by it, So it's like, hey, we're still on the path to awaken, to be realized. Now, will I be realized in this lifetime? I don't know, probably not. Probably have to come back again. But it is that... The allowance, like what I'm seeing when I talk, I see sort of the images. It's like walking the path without resistance and fully living from the heart. That's what I keep seeing as we're talking about this. So yeah,
that's beautiful information. You've shared a lot of great gems in the moment today. Thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break. And we will be right back with Jason and Vialet and JoAnne Palladino. So stay with us, please.
Discover Your Spiritual Gifts has readers available every day starting at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We offer 30-minute readings for $50 and 60-minute readings for $90. You can make an appointment or just stop on in for availability. Call ahead at 720-573-4275.
And welcome back to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts Live. We're so glad to have you with us today. It is Jason and Violet hosting with Dave on vacation in Las Vegas, lucky fella. And we have JoAnne Palladino sharing with us today. Let's talk a little bit about what you do. And you touched a little bit on Shmaya.
Yeah.
Share what that means, what that is, and what you do with it.
You know, it's funny when I get the questions like, what do you do? And I have to say, I do nothing. You know, in this, the human sense, I do nothing, but it's the divine that's coming through me. And those of us who are healers or in that realm of understanding know what I'm speaking about. So much of what comes through me is divinely guided. Again, like I said, though I've been trained in various modalities, I pause, I listen, and I trust. And when I work with people, I already see their divinity. Like I want to cry just by when I say that. Like I already see their divinity. They may come with a challenge on all levels. You know, if we look at it as wholeness or holiness, the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual fragmentation that's going on within us, and just be fine exactly where they are and not feeling they should be any different. And that's how I begin with them. So when I work with souls, I really touch on the various aspects of themselves so they begin to better understand why they are acting or reacting, what I'm going to say, because the word's showing up, in victim consciousness, because that's really what it is. Any kind of that they're not good enough or there's some level of abuse going on, whether it's from the self or from outside, questioning their abilities, things like that. So I lay out a broader perspective where I'm able to read intuitively of what's going on with them currently, and I do see past also. And not judge it. Again, not saying this should or shouldn't be here, or this is good or this is bad. So they get an intuitive reading, an insight, a better understanding. I work with them energetically because a lot of this is held in the body. You know, if somebody comes with a physical manifestation, that I support allowing their conduit, their body, to flow more freely. Also, to allow them to be safe to get in touch with their emotions. My goodness, how many people come to me that do not want to go there. They don't want to be sad, they don't want to be lonely, they don't want to be angry. To me, that's completely denying their humanness, but there is a way to embrace, not to deny or feel they're wrong, but to embrace them, understand them, on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, and how to mindfully express it and release it. So this is supporting like an alignment with all of those aspects of the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual piece. And they always leave with mindfulness practices. So it's not just the experience. We could all have the experience, but how do you embody that knowledge or that experience to actually take hold, where you're not working on the same thing over and over and over again? So there's a holiness aspect to the work that I extend, or the gifts that I extend. My main thing, and it's from my own personal journey, is complete and unconditional love and self-acceptance. Because imagine if we were all in that state of complete and unconditional love and self-acceptance. I brought a couple of things today just as a reference, and this one is calling me, and this is from the Sophia Code. And if I could find it quickly, but this is Kuan Yin, and it's a channeled book. You're familiar with this book.
I love that book, the Sophia Code.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. But it's really beginning to help us heal our personal suffering for for not only our own embodiment, but the significance of how that supports the collective. We hear about that and we read about it, but it's true. There's like a ripple effect of consciousness that comes through you, extends out from you, and then comes back. So, this is it's sort of like hits home here. Humanity cannot skip its initiation for learning self-love and self-compassion. It is the only way to reconcile the thousands of years spent in self-hatred and self-denial. Now that's quite a statement. Because when I read that, I was like, whoa. Now, Kuan Yin is talking about the thousands of years spent in self-hatred. Let's just look at this lifetime. Not to cloud the mind of like, oh my gosh, my past lives, and what was it like, and what did I experience, but why don't you just be with this lifetime to enliven and embody complete and unconditional love and self-acceptance? It's like, talk about heart-centered. This is the way of the heart. It's not the way of the intellect. You know. Does that answer your question?
And then some. Yeah.
And then some.
One of the things that I share with a lot of people, and a lot of people are connect with it, especially those that embody unconditional love in whatever form that they have, is that if we led with love, our planet would be better off by lunchtime.
Yes.
Right?
It would be immediate. It would be a quantum leap.
Yeah, in 24 hours, the whole planet would be in a different place. And leading with love, and that starts with yourself. Right? And that's where we have the hardest time. We give away so much of it, but love is unconditional that we have for others, but we have such a hard time doing it for ourselves.
That's why I feel my intention is about cultivating it, not only in myself. That's where I begin, but to help others to like peel away. The famous onion is coming up. You know, we peel the onion, where the onion has big chunks, but it also has very thin layers. It's like the veil. And that is also significant for people to start realizing, having that pause, catching themselves when there's the critical chatter once again, and shifting to a loving thought or a more positive thought. So if it's okay, I'd like to just touch on Shamaya, because I mentioned Shamaya before, which is the language of light. The language started coming through about 8 years ago spontaneously. Freaked me out. Didn't know what was going on. You know, what am I saying? What am I saying? So just to touch on what Shamaya means, that's one of the words that I kept saying when the light language started coming through. And I was told that it's actually a word. I didn't know. The Shamaya. It's ancient Aramaic word. The Shem means God-light vibration. Maya means that God-light vibration is in everything, everyone, and in every word. When I heard that, my soul actually heard it, and I just sobbed. So that's why I call it Shamaya. And in essence, we're all Shamaya. We're all Shem. We're all God-light vibration, right? So it's not a thing. It's not a person. It is. It permeates everything. Shem, you know? So
I love the way you light up when you talk about it.
I feel it. You know, like I feel it.
It shows. For those people who are listening, and there's like this glow just got brighter, and the smile and the eyes and everything just got more animated. Yeah. It's very cool.
So, to extend Shamaya, and we'll see what comes through. We'll see what comes through, and trusting people will be hearing the end of the show and get this and receive it. So though the intellect does not understand the frequency, the vibration, it is the felt quality that is transmitting the healing, the shifting. I have gotten messages that Shamaya is here to awaken not only myself, JoAnne in this form, but also to help the awakening on the planet. So there is an emotion with this, because it is communicating the significance of your presence on this planet at this time. This is all compassion. So there was a softness, a gentleness, an emotion of the heart opening, realizing, allowing you all to hear this, and even those who are not hearing it, the significance of your presence, the significance of your journey, how that ripples through consciousness, how that ripples through the collective. Compassion. And then it kicked up a notch. There was an intensity at the end. Do not let fear stop you. Do not let anyone else's thoughts or beliefs about you stop you. Actually, the pause and the stillness is part of the transmission here, to allow it to settle into the cells, to ripple through the body, to find a home within your home, your spirit, your soul, your form.
Everything that was in my brain and my body and the tensions and the busyness all just washed away in a moment. And it was completely still. That was amazing.
That was amazing.
Beautiful, isn't it? That's why I light up.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
I love that you have developed the understanding of it to be able to help our intellect connect it. Because I think my intellect connecting to it allowed for even more. Mm-hmm. It actually added to it, to understand. And even though you can feel it, it's okay, so I feel something, right? And we go to those questions. What am I feeling? And as soon as I let go of that, because that's what you're sharing with us, I let go of that, and then you answered it. It was just that much. There was that much more to it.
You know, people ask me, is this Palladian? Is this Arcturian? Is this Syrian? I'm like, I don't know. It is. I just say it is. And it's trusting. That's how it is for me. I'm trusting what I just experienced, because it came through me too. And what you're receiving, that's what I trust.
Right.
Of the felt quality and the shift that people are realizing. Are realizing.
So you actually hold gatherings, Shmaya gatherings. So tell us, share with the listeners a little bit about what those are and what to experience.
And just in general, my sanctuary is located in Denver. I don't call it an office; I call it a sanctuary. And I see people there individually. I hold groups there, and I do distance healing, whether it's through the U.S. or internationally, and also groups and retreats. So the Shamaya gatherings are held right now twice a month, and there's usually a topic. This month's topic is loving yourself is compassionate action. That's the topic. Loving ourselves. It's like talk about compassion for oneself. So it's an activity that we're embodying. So there's usually a topic. Everything is, it's channeled, though I bring my notes. As you see, what might call me, I refer to. Everyone has an opportunity to share challenges, awareness, a deeper understanding, what brought them there. So there's individual attention given to those who attend, and it's also a group collective that is receiving, because it's not uncommon that what one person brings, we relate, we understand. Last night's gathering was very much about the body, like the physical form, and what we're experiencing in the form. So it popped up a few times. So a lot of grace and ease, and I feel when you walk in and when you leave, there's a difference in your being, and trusting that it takes hold. It takes hold. So small fee, for it. So everyone is, welcome. All levels.
Having been to a couple of those, I can I can speak from experience that they are equally intense, enlightening, and transformational, even if it's just for the time that you're there. You definitely carry away with you a different feeling. The energy shifts, and there very much is an individual and a group quality to it. And so even if you don't speak up or share, you still benefit greatly from just being in the space and being in the energy, and you're very attentive to everybody and what's going on, and being very accepting, and that part makes it really easy for someone who's truly struggling with something very specific to come and share and do it in an open space and get some immediate shift in that. And it just happens naturally. It's not like you come to the meeting like, I'm going to do this for this person. It just sort of it flows so naturally. And there's a sacredness and an intensity to it that isn't like, it's not like other gatherings. It's very sweet. It's different.
That's very sweet to hear, and touches my heart to hear that. It's so what I'm actually physically feeling right now, and what's extended, again, the intention is that you are grounded in spaciousness. So we could also say it that you're grounded in your divinity, that you're still fully in your body, you're comfortable there, you feel safe there, but you also begin to realize the divinity within. So being grounded in spaciousness is like I feel anyway, such a beautiful way to engage life.
We have made a choice to be here. And the practical aspects of just getting around and obtaining nourishment and getting sunshine, and you have to use the body. That's the vehicle that gets you to those things. So being present is an important thing. It makes you a little safer than if you're way up in the clouds all the time.
As healers, it's not uncommon that healers don't like to be in the body. They like to be, in other dimensions. But then when they have to come down, it doesn't get easier. It does. The challenge is still there. So being at peace or at ease that you're fully embodied here and now can, I feel, broaden the gifts that we bring. Again, this has been just through the years. This isn't a new realization that I'm speaking about, but through the years, it's becoming more significant that if you're on the spiritual path and you're a healer, that it is okay to be in the body, even if you feel your family is Arcturian. That's okay, or who knows what dimension. That's okay. But you're not there now. We're here on planet Earth for a reason, for a purpose, for our soul's development, and also to help other souls during this time. That's, I feel like that's the significance here.
Well, I like this place. I like being grounded here. This place is pretty. And the food tastes good, and the music's amazing, and there's so many cool sensations. It's you're kind of committed to be here.
Yeah.
Right? And you're trying to keep your body alive, so you have a reason to be here. So why not enjoy it? Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times to me, this place seems like a working vacation. Mm. We're in a highly accelerated spiritual school here.
Yes.
And we're supposed to stumble and fall and get back up again and get dirty and get clean and go up and go down. That's part of the journey.
Yeah, it's allowing ourselves to remember, you know, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. I always joke, and somebody goes, oh, I need to do this. This is a soul before they're by. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, all right. Well, we're going to send you to planet Earth. And that's where you're going to go. And that's how you're going to, learn this lesson.
Good luck with that. And we're going to go ahead and wipe your memory.
That's right. Yeah.
Of all your connections before you go.
It's going to be done.
Yeah. Clean slate.
But you have to remember. You're going to lose your memory, but then you have to remember.
You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Hope you can figure it out. Oh, yeah, this will be easy. I can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. What?
Yeah, read the whole brochure.
And there's about 1 billion of them.
Yeah. There's a lot of options. So share with us, JoAnne, how people find you, get in touch with you, how they can attend your gatherings. Help the listeners understand.
JoAnnePalladino.com.
Will you spell it for us?
Yes, JoAnne. So JoAnne, one word, JoAnne. Last name is Palladino. P is in Peter, A-L-L-A, D is in David, I-N-O, and everything is on the website, and yes, you could find me on Facebook as well. I direct people to the website because that's where my, individual sessions are listed, and groups and retreats and Shamaya gatherings, and how to connect with me directly. So,
and I will also give you the reference of being in your sanctuary, and that it truly is a sanctuary. It's stepping into a different place when you go there. It's very much like coming here. You step into a different world when you come to discover your spiritual gifts, and it's a different vibration, but it's a similar. It's kind of a similar threshold, kind of that veil, like you were saying earlier. You step through into something different.
Yeah, it's to help people feel safe. I feel that's really important. Those that are coming to seek help from others, so there's a safety, there's an allowance for your vulnerability to show and to be with your vulnerability. Like, how delicate and beautiful is that? That is so much part of the spiritual journey. Trusting, that there's a trust level, and that you're accepted no matter where you are in your path. It's like, here we are, and we're all holding hands. And we're walking together.
It's truly interesting.
It's like, can I hold your hand? Okay, good. Let's go.
We're all on the same page in our own way. I love that feeling. That's the beauty of our community.
Yeah.
As a whole, and not just here, and not just with you, but in the Denver area and Colorado, and the spiritual community starting to get that woven together in a more secure way. That it's really about all of us accepting and being where we are and being okay with that.
Yeah, it's so funny you're saying that. It's like, and it keeps us on our toes in a way where we, where am I still judgmental? Look at that.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at that right now.
Look at that one.
I'm wasting a lot of energy right there.
So teachers are teaching themselves. We're still students, is how I like to put it. Is for the longest time, like, oh, I'm a Reiki master, and I went, master? Are you kidding me? It's like there's this constant, like, we like to put labels next to our names and initials, but it's like, oh, baby, I'm walking right next to you. I'm still learning. I'm still on the path, but this is what I could offer, in a lightened way, So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming. We are so honored that you came and were part of our show. I really do appreciate it. So much beautiful information. Thanks for sharing the message today. It was very powerful. Please stay tuned. After this show, we'll have several of our practitioners offering some of the services that they have or events that are coming. Thanks for listening today. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Blessings, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
I am Colleen Andraste. I am a spirit medium, psychic, and channel for the angelic realm, and I have been intuitive or psychic my entire life. I began my interest in this work as a young child. I saw my mother with my eyes open after she passed 2 different times, so my beliefs were confirmed, and that is what opened the doors for me. How I help clients today is that I'm primarily clairaudient, clairvoyant. I'm also an empath, so I tune into their energy through the vibration of their name, and Spirit will talk to me about what messages they have for the client. It can range, it's wide ranges actually, but my primary goal is to empower my client and to bring them a sense of well-being and peace, and to know that they're always being cared for and they are not doing this alone. They're not walking the earth plane alone. I am available the 3rd Sunday of the month at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Hi, I'm Nikki Milton. I am the Center Manager and Marketing Manager here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. I'm here 2 days a week on Mondays and Fridays, marketing this beautiful center and making sure that the center is up to standard for all you lovely guests who will hopefully come and visit us soon. I also own a content marketing agency, so I'm a teacher here in the space because I have a real passion for helping the spiritual business owners in this community learn how to brand and market their businesses. So I run a business class series every year on branding and marketing and social media classes, as well as a full strategy workshop towards the end of the year to help you get your business in line for the upcoming year. And that is what I do here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
My name is Davina. I'm a reader here at DYSG, and I've been psychic since I was a small child. I'm gifted with sight, hearing, knowing, and feeling. I have gone public and have been reading for the last 5 years, full-time, so for over a year. I would be happy to serve you. I'm able to talk to your higher self, spirit guides, angels, sometimes passed over loved ones come through. I don't choose who comes through to speak to me. I just ask that it's for your highest good and as the light. I'm here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts from 10 to 5 on Fridays.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio.